In what may be the UN's worst condemnation of Israel in their entire history, 90 UN member nations voted to pass a resolution establishing Nakba Day, the same day that Israel was founded in 1948, and what translates into English as catastrophe. Hello and welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of anti-Israel propaganda and Jew hatred, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Luke Hilton here on the Mount of Blessing in the biblical heartland of Israel. Joshua Waller is on vacation this week, but he will be back next week, so never fear. Make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our content coming out every single week, and let us know what you think in the comment section below. We love to hear from you. As we get towards the end of the year, I would like to ask you if you enjoy the Israel Guys on a regular basis, if you appreciate our content, if you feel like our message is important. Everything is 100% free, but we do rely on the support of people like you that invest in our work, whether it be a one-time or a monthly contribution. You can go to theisraelguys.com. We'll put a link down in the description below if you want to make an end-of-year contribution or sign up as a monthly supporter to support the work of the Israel Guys. Help us keep going and help us do even more as we get ready for 2023. Thank you guys so much for being faithful and loyal watchers, viewers, listeners. We appreciate you guys. So the story of the day, and I feel like this, I feel like I'm missing Josh because this is the perfect rant today, is that the United Nations, they went over the top, went over the edge because they voted to commemorate a day marking Israel's founding as a catastrophe. No, this is not a Babylon Bee news headline. This is not fake news. This is not propaganda. This actually happened. So Israel's Independence Day, it's usually in the spring, was May 14th, 1948. On the Hebrew calendar, it fluctuates a little bit, so it's always somewhere in April or May. And it celebrates when Israel became a nation in 1948. Well, the Arabs, for a long time, the Arabs have marked this day, they call it Nakba in Arabic, which translates to as catastrophe, because they view the founding of the state of Israel, the Jewish people being sovereign in their own land, as a catastrophe. So they call it Nakba Day. Well, guess what the UN went and did? They passed a resolution in the UN General Assembly to officially establish a commemorative event in honor of the 75th Nakba Day, coinciding with Israel's Independence Day. So that'll be this coming spring. When Israel's celebrating 75 years of being a sovereign nation, the Jewish people free in their own land, the UN is officially going to they're going to commemorate the disaster, the catastrophe of Israel's founding. My question is, why is Israel still a member of the UN General Assembly? Why is the United States still a member of the UN General Assembly? Now, to be clear, 90 nations voted in favor. 90 nations voted to officially view Israel's founding as a catastrophe. 90 nations around the world officially voted to condemn Israel's existence, to condemn the Jewish people's existence. It doesn't get any more anti-Semitic, which is simply a fancy term for Jew hatred, than this. So 90 nations voted for the resolution, 30 nations voted against. The ones that did vote against were the United States, Canada, Australia, the United Kingdom, and Brazil, as well as several others. Most of the members of the European Union voted against the resolution, with the exception of Cyprus, which voted in favor. I feel like now would be a really good time for a Josh rant. Unfortunately, he's not here. So you guys, maybe you can rant down in the comments what you think of this disastrous UN General Assembly resolution. Gilad Erdan is the Israel ambassador to the United Nations. In response to this, he said, quote, "Today, the UN General Assembly passed a shameful resolution calling for an official event to commemorate the Palestinian Nakba on the 75th anniversary of the creation of the State of Israel. By passing such an extreme and baseless resolution, the UN is only helping to perpetuate the conflict." And then he went on to say something interesting, which maybe you haven't even heard of before. He said, quote, 2 days after Israel's establishment, this was the headline in the New York Times. It did not read Arabs in grave danger in all Jewish lands. It read Jews in grave danger in all Muslim lands. The Arab countries in Iran immediately began to expel the Jews living throughout the Middle East and North Africa. Hundreds of thousands of Jewish families were uprooted from their homes, robbed of their valuables and property, and forcefully cast out of the countries where they lived for millennia. This is the true Nakba. This is the disaster carried out against the Jewish people, and this is the disaster that this body has ignored for decades. Look at this family that was expelled. He had a photo. Stop ignoring the Jewish Nakba. Stop ignoring the Jewish Nakba. Again, this was the Israeli ambassador to the United Nations, Gilad Erdan. A lot of people don't know. There were 700,000 Jews that were kicked and expelled out of Arab Muslim countries in 1948. There's more Jewish refugees from Arab countries than there are, quote, Palestinian Arab refugees that were expelled from Israel. And by the way, a lot of the Palestinian Arab refugees till today, they weren't actually expelled from Israel. A lot of them fled. Yes, there were some that were expelled from certain areas, but a lot of them fled. And the reality is that even though there's more than 5 million Arab Palestinian refugees, according to the United Nations, it's because they won't declassify them as refugees. You got grandparents, children, and grandchildren that are they're passing down their refugee status. This doesn't happen in any other people group, any other ethnicity. It's only the Palestinian Arabs because the United Nations and the rest of the world refuses to permanently settle the Arabs. There's Palestinian Arab refugees in Jordan, and several other countries too. I think I'm trying to remember the other country, but it's an absolute disaster. The United Nations refuses to take care of this problem, and they absolutely insist on continuing this disastrous policy. And not only that, but condemning Israel's very existence. Now they're going to have an official commemorative event for Disaster Day, for Nakba Day, at the same time while Israel will be celebrating 75 years of independence. This is absolutely disastrous. Guys, let us know what you think down in the comments below, and let the world know what you think about the incredible hypocrisy and hatred that is just spewing out of the United Nations. Okay, guys, as we draw towards the end of 2022, it's interesting to note that terrorism rose more than 300% in Israel for the year 2022. According to a report from Israel's military intelligence, and this is from Israel 365 News. All our source links are down in the description below if you want to check out all the news that we're reporting on today. According to a report from the IDF, 280 terrorist attacks were committed in Israel so far in 2022. In 2021, there were 91, so we're talking about a 300% increase. Shooting attacks on the military in Judea and Samaria are at 110 this year compared to 25 in 2021. 31 Israelis have been killed in terrorist attacks this year. 130 Palestinian Arabs have been killed, but it's important to note that the majority of those killed have been terrorists. So basically terrorists that were taken out as they were attacking Israel, but thank God they were taken out and neutralized by Israel's military and those that have stopped terrorist attacks. But 31 Israelis have been killed in terrorist attacks, innocent people killed in attacks this year. The IDF has arrested more than 3,000 suspected militants. And regarding the Palestinian Arabs, I thought this was interesting because if you followed our channel, we actually did an on-location video where we went to the Green Line, the fence that separates Judea and Samaria from the rest of Israel, and we documented how we just walked across, and we not only documented that, but we documented and got on camera and actually got some of them to talk on camera, Palestinian Arabs that are just walking through the fence, going a couple of 100 meters down the road and hopping on an Israeli bus and heading right into Tel Aviv. So it used to be tens of thousands that were every single week were crossing the fence into Israel proper from Judea and Samaria. So when we reported the issue, it was literally tens of thousands a week, maybe even a day that this was happening. Now, thank God, they've gotten it down to a few hundred per week. You guys can take a little credit in that for actually helping to expose that issue. We got thousands and thousands of views on that video where we documented these illegal entries, and what very easily could have led to massive terrorist attacks, because you have Arabs just crossing the fence, no one checking them, no one caring at all, going anywhere they want in Israel. But thank God the military has been cracking down on that, and it's a lot less. So I want to talk a little bit about why the increase in violence from 2021 to 2022. But first, I want to show you guys some beautiful, beautiful products. We have honey here, and what's special about all of these products is that these come from Judea and Samaria. This is honey from Judea and Samaria. This is an avocado honey. This is... Oh, now I can't even read. It's in Hebrew. But beautiful honey straight from Israel's biblical heartland. Not only these products, but I want to show you chocolate. This is one example, 70% dark chocolate, Camino Verde. This comes from the Hebron area in Judea. We got soaps here, Adva soaps, lavender, Dead Sea mud soap, pomegranate soap, honey soap. Look at these. I don't know if you can tell how beautiful these products are. We'll put them up on the screen so you can see them better. I've tried a lot of these products. Absolutely incredible. And we have Yara Anti-Aging Series Pure Honey Skincare. I haven't actually tried this one, but you can let me know down in the comments below if you think I need to try some of the anti-aging products. I'm not that old. I just turned 30 this year. But anyways, I show you these products, and hopefully you can get a better visual up on the screen there. Thanks, guys, who are editing this video, because these all come from Blessed, B-U-Y Israel, Blessed by Israel, and they can ship these products right here directly for your doorstep as you're planning your end of year holiday shopping. Why not buy something significant? Buy something beautiful, buy something meaningful. And while you're at it, support small family-owned businesses that are specifically and exclusively in Israel's biblical heartland. The world is trying, BDS, boycott, divestment, sanctions, they're trying to get you not to buy these products right here. Well, guess what? We're not only asking you to buy these products, we're making it super easy for you, because you can go to blessedbyisrael.com, order in just a few clicks, and they'll be shipped directly to your doorstep. And not only are you making a meaningful purchase, you're supporting small businesses in Judea and Samaria, and you're fighting the BDS of the world coming against Israel's biblical heartland. You're saying it can and should be absolutely normal to purchase products from small family-owned businesses in Judea and Samaria. So your purchases are an investment into the people and the land here. I showed you these, but there's olive oil, there's tea, there's honey, ceramics, jewelry, so many beautiful products. You can go to blessedbuyisrael.com. The specific link will be down in the description below, blessedbuyisrael.com. Support Israel's biblical heartland. As you're doing your holiday shopping, guys, take a little bit of that budget and support something meaningful and support a really good cause. Thank you to our friends at Blessed by Israel. So, talking about why the increase in violence in 2022 versus 2021, David Hacham, a senior research associate at the Miriam Institute and a former advisor on Arab affairs to 7 Israeli defense ministers, he said that the increase in violence this year is due to several different factors. A lot of them we've reported on throughout this year on the Israel Guys channel. But I want to read a quote from him. He said, quote, "A rise in violent clashes between the IDF as well as Israelis in Judea and Samaria and Palestinians, often leading to casualties. A rise in tensions surrounding the Temple Mount, and ongoing Palestinian incitement encouraging violent passions around this issue based on claims that Israel is changing the status quo. This can form a big potential for escalation because it plays on very sensitive strings." Now I want to address this issue before I move on to others. The Temple Mount is the most hotly contested piece of real estate in the entire world. We did a viral series just on the Temple Mount. More than 250,000 people viewed it just a couple of months ago. Go back and watch on the Israel Guys channel. Anytime anyone even mentions the Temple Mount, it seems to like set off a hot button of things that happen. And the Arabs use the Temple Mount as a pretense to attack Israel and smear Israel. Now, to be clear, nothing's changed. I wish the status quo could change, that Jews and Christians would be able to pray freely on the Temple Mount. But no, that has not changed. But the Arabs constantly claim that it has changed. And every time a Jewish group, and many times when Christians group, walk onto the Temple Mount and simply walk around, engaging in silent prayer, doing absolutely nothing else, all the headlines read, Israeli Jewish settlers storm Al-Aqsa Mosque, and they have pictures and videos of people walking around the Temple Mount. So the Temple Mount is one of those hot button issues that's the Palestinian Arabs are constantly using to incite violence. So that's one of the reasons for increase in violence this year. A couple other reasons that hit closer to home in our events that we've been reporting on the past couple months. One is that there's a lot of incitement by terrorist factions on social media. So the Lion's Den organization, which the IDF has been working really hard to put down, they're a little bit more modern, their leadership is a younger demographic, and they're a lot better at using modern tools such as social media to incite people to violence. Another thing is that large terrorist factions such as Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad, they just offer straight up cash. They offer cash rewards to anyone, to Arabs who go and attack Israelis, people that go and try to kill Jews. It's like a drug deal, try to kill a Jew. Here's a stack of money for your reward. And for a lot of these people, that's a big enough incentive to go and attack Israelis. Not to even mention the fact that if they do manage to be successful to maim or kill Jewish people, then if they go to prison or if they're killed, if they go to prison, then them and their families will receive monthly payments for the rest of their life from the Palestinian Authority. And if they're killed, then their families will receive payments for the rest of their life from the Palestinian Authority. So this is a massive incentivizing program going on here. The last factor that's led to more violence in Judea and Samaria this year is that Mahmoud Abbas is 87 years old. So just to give you a quick reminder on the timeline, you had during Israel's fight for survival in 1947 and 1948, you had Hajj Amin Husseini, who was the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem. He was basically like the leader of the Palestinian Arab movement, right? And then after he died, his successor was Yasser Arafat, who established the Palestinian Liberation Organization, PLO, in 1960. It was established in 1964. Yasser Arafat became the leader, and he headed a lot of the leadership of the Palestinian Authority, was birthed out of him, the PLO, and from Yasser Arafat. But then when Yasser Arafat died, his successor was Mahmoud Abbas. So in the last 75 years, you have three major leaders of the Palestinian Arab movement here in Israel. And Mahmoud Abbas is 87 years old now, not in good health, failing. He's not doing such a great job at leadership. He's 13 years over his term limit. They haven't had elections in the Palestinian Authority, and however many years that is, 13 years over plus however many years his term limit was. And so there's a lot of people vying. They're basically competing for who's going to take over when Mahmoud Abbas dies or retires or whatever, whenever he decides to withdraw. Now, he has kind of named his successor, but the guy is not so popular. So now there's all these new terrorist factions and organizations springing up, all trying to become the biggest and the best, a lot of infighting, and that's leading to more and more violence because the only common denominator, the only unifying factor amongst these terrorist organizations is that they all want to kill Israel, kill Jews, and wipe Israel off the face of the map. So those are some of the things that have led to increased violence in Judea and Samaria just this year, a 300% increase. And again, please pray for Israel, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. As Christians who believe in the Bible, it's our mandate, Psalm 122, to daily pray for the peace of Jerusalem, that violence and terrorism would come to an end, and that Israel can do what it needs to. I'm not actually going to talk about the potential formation of the new Israeli government today because it's just not a lot new to report, but that hopefully will be forming in the next week or two. Just pray that Israel would have a strong government that is able to make the decisions that they need to put down violence and fight terrorism and violence. Okay, so as I wrap up today, last story is that Hadi Amir just got promoted to, I think his new title is Special Envoy to the Palestinians. He's a U.S. government official, and he just got promoted to, Special Representative to the Palestinians. It's, I think, a new position. And he's pushing for the Palestinian Consulate in Jerusalem to be reopened, trying to work with U.S. Ambassador Tom Nides here, U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Thomas Nides. And this guy is not a pro-Israel guy. He's really an anti-Israel guy, very, very pro-Palestinian. And he's been pushing, but it's recently popped up in the news again, that they're still hoping and pushing for the Palestinian consulate to be reopened in Jerusalem. Of course, they can't do that without Israel, the official permission of the Israeli government. And I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But Hadi Amir said, quote, "It's a real honor to serve as the U.S. government's first representative to the Palestinian people and leadership. The creation of this role is unprecedented and elevates Palestinian issues and our engagement on it." And he went on talking about the reopening of the consulate. Quote, "We continue to believe that reopening the consulate will put the U.S. in the best position to engage with and provide support to the Palestinian people. We're going to continue to discuss the timeline for reopening the consulate general with our Israeli and Palestinian partners." So the Palestinian consulate in Jerusalem was a whole separate mission from the U.S. government that was closed under Donald Trump because there was no reason for it, because the U.S. embassy in the U.S. regular U.S. consulate serves the Palestinian Arab people in Israel already. So Amir's vision is to basically lift up Palestinian Arab lives to make them equal with Israeli lives, right? Inside of that, though, he seems to be turning a blind eye to the corruption that is in the Palestinian Authority. Now, he actually this is an actual quote by him, and I want to read it because he said, talking about the fact that there's been no elections in 13 years and the Palestinian Authority's government is basically an illegal, corrupt government. This is what Hadi Amir had to say. Quote, "A decision for the Palestinian people and leadership to decide. We were very pleased to see the local elections that were held earlier this year." So in other words, basically he's like, we don't care if the Palestinian Authority is corrupt. We don't care if they give millions of dollars to terrorists and murderers and their families. We don't care if they want to have elections or not, or if they haven't elected haven't had a fair and election at all for their prime minister or their president and the Palestinian Authority government in more than 13 years. It just doesn't matter. We just want to help the Palestinian people. And guess what? He's not helping them at all because he's just helping a corrupt government oppress its people more and more and more. And regarding violence in Judea and Samaria this year, Hadi Amir said, quote, "We are closely tracking every reported incident every day, and we're deeply aware of the tragic loss of life that we're seeing in the territories. We're going to stay focused on our goal of working towards and advancing towards equal measures of security, freedom, and justice for Israelis and Palestinians alike, and we'll be engaging with the parties with that as our basis." Now, a lot of people don't catch this, but I want to bring it out. Every single statement from politicians like this, and most of the U.S. administration right now, because they're so anti-Israel, they put the Palestinian Arabs and the Israelis on the equal scale, okay? Violence in Judea and Samaria, they make statements like, we're concerned about the violence on both sides. We mourn the tragic loss of life. We mourn the loss of life for the Palestinians and for the Israelis. They don't at all. They have no guts to call out Palestinian Arab terrorism, murderers, and they make them on equal scales. They don't recognize the fact at all that Israel would never, ever harm or kill Palestinians if they weren't attacked in the first place, and that they're only killing murderers. And if an innocent person does tragically lose their life, it's as a result of terrorism against Israel. Anyways, I think this is, you call this my Josh rant, but guys, it's absolutely not fair whatsoever at all. And Hadi Amir, unfortunately, being promoted to the new position of special representative of the Palestinian people, the first position from the U.S. government of this kind, is unfortunately showing his colors as being biased against Israel and unfairly biased with aligning himself with the corrupt Palestinian Authority government and illegally trying to open the Palestinian consulate, or the U.S. consulate for the Palestinians in Jerusalem. In conclusion, guys, I don't know why any rational country is still a member of the United Nations, but you can look up that list of 90 nations that voted in favor of a resolution to commemorate Israel's founding as a catastrophe and a disaster, and you can just maybe figure out which countries are just not rational anymore. Anti-Semitism is rising. You got Kanye West, who just released a video yesterday. Go watch it. A lot of other public figures, and now United Nations, all voting overwhelmingly in favor of anti-Semitism, which is simply a fancy word for Jew hatred. Guys, don't forget to make meaningful purchases as you think about your holiday shopping. Buy some beautiful products from Israel's Biblical Heartland. Go to blessedbuyisrael.com. Direct link down in the description below. This is some scary stuff happening. I want to know what you guys think. Get the conversation going down in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our content. Remember to tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. We'll be back every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.